You know, some speeches don't just capture a moment in time, they actually create it. And today, we're going to talk about maybe the most powerful and transformative speech in all of American history, Martin Luther King Jr.'s I Have a Dream. So let's really get into what made these words so powerful, so timeless. Wow. I mean, this one sentence, it just gets right to the heart of the entire civil rights movement's vision, doesn't it? It's this powerful plea for a future where we're judged not by prejudice, but by our principles. And what I think makes it hit so hard is that it's both this really personal wish for his own kids and at the same time, this huge universal hope for all of us. All right, so this is without a doubt one of the greatest speeches of all time. Its influence is just immeasurable. So here's how we're going to break it down. First, we'll look at the history, what was going on that made this speech so necessary. Then we'll get into the powerful vision King shared. And finally, we'll talk about the real-world impact it had. Okay, so to really get the power of King's words, you have to understand the century of struggle that came before. I mean, the dream he spoke of was so powerful precisely because the reality for so many people was just so grim. Just think about this for a second. A full 100 years. That's how much time passed between the Emancipation Proclamation, which, promised freedom, and the March on Washington. A century is such a long time to wait for a promise to be kept. And for so many people, that entire century of waiting was just defined by brutal oppression. So what did that century of waiting actually look like on the ground? Well, the sources, they paint a pretty bleak picture. Even though slavery was constitutionally over, harrowing conditions were just the norm. Black Americans were free, sure, but only in name. They were, and I quote, still not equal citizens. The fight was nowhere near over. And this whole system of inequality, it had a name, Jim Crow. And we have to be clear here, this wasn't just about a few prejudiced people. No, this was an entire system of laws and social rules specifically designed to push African Americans down, to subordinate them. It was basically this institutionalized backlash, trying to keep things as close to the slavery era as they possibly could. Okay, so all of that brings us right to August 28th, 1963, at the Lincoln Memorial. This was a day that was absolutely going to go down in history. But what's so amazing is that it wasn't just for what was planned, but for a moment of pure, spontaneous genius. And the sheer scale of this moment, it's hard to even wrap your head around it. 250,000 people, 250,000 people gathered in Washington, D.C. They were all there to demand basic civil and economic rights. It was this massive demonstration of collective will that the nation literally could not ignore. And this is where the story gets really incredible. So King is up there, delivering the speech he had prepared. But then the legendary gospel singer Mahalia Jackson, who's standing right near him, she just shouts out from the crowd, "Tell them about the dream, Martin." And that one little prompt, it changed everything. Okay, and this is the part that just blows my mind. When he heard her call, Martin Luther King Jr. literally pushed his written speech to the side. The entire I Have a Dream section, the part that is burned into our collective memory, was completely 100% improvised. In that moment, he stopped being just a speaker reading a script and became a preacher, tapping into that powerful rhythm and deep emotion of the Black church. He wasn't just reading words anymore. He was testifying. And see, he wasn't just talking about abstract ideas like justice. He painted this incredibly vivid, relatable picture of what equality would actually look like. This image, of little kids joining hands, overcoming the hate they were taught. That was a vision of a healed America that absolutely everyone could understand and feel. And man, his language just soared. He started pulling from biblical prophecy, which gave the whole movement this sense of divine, historical weight. This made it clear this wasn't just another political goal. He was framing it as the fulfillment of a moral destiny. It was about leveling the mountains of injustice to create a truly equal landscape for everyone. But, a dream is one thing. No matter how beautiful it is, it has to have an impact in the real world to matter. So the big question is, how did these incredible words actually lead to real, concrete legal change? Well, the speech did way more than just inspire the people who were there. It absolutely captivated the entire country. It helped build this huge wave of national support, shifting public opinion, and putting a ton of pressure on lawmakers to finally do something. He basically framed the civil rights struggle as the true moral test of America's founding principles. And you can literally trace the line from the speech to the law. That moral momentum it created, it was a huge factor in getting the landmark Civil Rights Act passed in 1964. That's just 1 year later. And that same momentum kept going, fueling the passage of the Voting Rights Act in 1965, which finally secured voting rights for all. It's a perfect example. Words led to action, and that action led to law. And then he closed the speech with these words from an old spiritual. It's just this powerful cry of hope, right? A declaration of the ultimate goal. It's really the sound of a dream reaching out to become reality. A powerful echo of that promise that was made 100 years before. So it leaves us with this huge question, right? What gives words the power to literally change the world? Was it the moment in history? Was it King's incredible skill as an orator? Or was it the simple, undeniable truth of the message itself? You know, maybe it's that perfect storm, the combination of all three that allows a single speech, a single dream, to actually, truly change everything.